Hello and welcome back to the Roswelly Videos channel. For whatever reason you may have stumbled onto this channel. So I wanted to talk about a couple of Game Boy Advances that I seem to have got a hold of. I'm sure we all remember the Game Boy Advance. It was this ridiculous thing that I haven't prepared, which I now have. It was this thing. A really good handheld console Nintendo, but pretty ridiculous because in all the years that Nintendo... Oh, hello. In all the years that Nintendo have been making handheld consoles, from the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Pocket, they've never decided to put a backlight in this thing. They made the Game Boy Light in Japan, and apparently that was quite popular. And they never bothered to put it on this. But anyway, what game have I got in here? I have the Yu-Gi-Oh! Double Pack. That's nice. I'm not going to bother showing that one, in the hope that I'll be able to find my copy of Sonic Advance that I can show for the purposes of this video. This will be my control game, as it were. So there we go, Sonic Advance, Sonic Battle. It's my double cartridge. I do have a standalone cartridge. So as you can see, pretty good console, good layout for the system, but obviously not a backlit screen. And I think this is the best angle you'll be able to see this. And I think my start button's a little bit sticky, but because it's not quite picking this up. I can't remember the last time I actually picked this up to play it. I'm actually quite surprised it still could charge. Yeah, you really have to hammer down on the start button. I don't know if this is just a fault with how old this thing is, but regardless. Sonic Advance was my first game for this as well. And a good Sonic game in general. But yeah, this game's good fun. As I say, first game I got for the system. Just mess around with it. Of course, here comes the problem. Screen, you cover any kind of shadow on it and it gets really difficult to see this thing. Even you get the angle slightly wrong, very reflective. That's a problem. Yes, and you, Sonic, can run back and forth until the days come to the end of the earth. So yeah, that's the Game Boy Advance. I'm just going to leave that there. So then Nintendo decided, alright, we want a backlight. So they bring out this. This is the Game Boy Advance SP. This is just the standard navy blue. This is actually an American import, I think. Yes, it's an American import. This is one that I got off my friend Ian. My fellow player of games. He gave me this one because it was faulty. I fixed it for him and I gave him a silver one in return. And the difference here now is the screen's not backlit, it's frontlit, which means you can see the screen, but the colours are still faintly washed out. So I'm only going to be showing Sonic Advance for this video, just for reasons that will become apparent fairly soon, but there is a reason for it. And a huge improvement over the original Game Boy Advance in the fact that it's got a smaller form factor, it's got a built-in rechargeable battery. Unfortunately, the downside with this then becomes is, to make the thing smaller, it no longer has headphones. So if you want to use headphones, you have to use this ridiculous sort of little cable. Or you buy a headset direct from Nintendo and they would charge you a fortune. But to use headphones, you would have to plug this in to the charging port. This is a cable I got for about £1 from China, by the way, so it does work. As you can, the sound is as stopped as you can hear, and then you would plug the headphone. It's not plugged in properly. You would then plug headphones in, and you could hear in beautiful stereo sound, because of course the original Game Boy Advance and this only have a mono speaker, despite the fact that these could output in stereo sound. But anyway, just a little bit of gameplay. Yep, already much clearer. And of course, you can fold it up and literally put it in your pocket, unlike this thing. Also, trying to find a Game Boy Advance, original Game Boy Advance with a screen that's not scratched to hell is surprisingly difficult. Unlike Game Boy Advance SPs, where the screens are absolutely immaculate, and that's the most important fact, but these cases are often really badly scratched. I mean, even this one, look at that, see? As I say, I got this off my friend Ian, but he just left his on his shelf for quite a lot of the time, and it just gets like knocked about, and it's had a cable stuck in it and such. But yeah, all in all, Game Boy Advance SP, really good system. But then Nintendo decided in their infinite wisdom, oh hello, we're going to make even more Game Boy Advance SPs, but we want to improve it even more. Welcome to the Game Boy Advance AGS-101. What game have I got in this? Oh, it's some multi-cartridge thing. I'm not going to show that, because I've shown that in a previous video. So yeah, Sonic Advance and Sonic Battle double cartridge. AGS-101. I don't have my other copy of Sonic Advance to compare with the original. I only have one copy of the game, but if I switch them both on at the same time, you can immediately see the difference in screen clarity. I'm sure you've seen it many times before. This is a huge improvement. The colours aren't as washed out. It's also very easy to make out everything. Unfortunately, however, these AGS-101 consoles are very, very rare. Very few came to the UK. They were more popular in Japan and America. In fact, the two that I have, one is an American one and one is an Australian one. So if I just close this over, yep, there you can see AGS-101. This was the, yep, that's the USA one I have here. The other one I got was pink, unfortunately. I've got two of these. I got one by sheer luck, because the person who was selling it didn't realise it was an AGS-101 one, although it came with a European plug adapter, despite the fact it was an Australian console. Again, this is probably the best way to play Game Boy Advance games, short of getting a Game Boy player for your Nintendo GameCube. And Game Boy players are getting incredibly rare to find as well. I'm not going to do a video on the Game Boy player as yet, but yeah, best way to play a Game Boy Advance game, probably on this. Unfortunately, I got my pink one for £50, and the casing was not in very good condition. Honestly, I need to get a new casing for that one to make it even semi-decent to have in my collection. But yeah, these things, really hard to find, or if they're not hard to find, they're bloody expensive. I've seen a black one of one of these going for just over £100. As I say, I got my pink one for 50, but again, it was pink. It's not exactly in high demand, that one. So there's the AGS-101, that can go there. And I'll just put the AGS-001 there. Incidentally, if you want to try and find one of these, what to look out for, and I don't mind sharing this secret, a lot of people, when they're listing these, probably don't know what they're looking for. If they have on the back, obviously you're looking for the model number, which incidentally here is upside down, as AGS-101, whereas on an original, it'll be AGS-001. A lot of people though, when they're taking photos for eBay, will have photos like this. What you're looking for on an AGS-001, the screen will be kind of greyish. On an AGS-101, the screen will be much darker because of the backlit filament. The idea with the original ones is it would get their light not just from the front lighting, but also from a reflective filament on the back, and that would reflect it into your eyes. It didn't always work, especially in darker conditions. So yeah, this, very, very expensive. How are we going to play our Game Boy Advance games in fantastic high brightness quality? I present to your delectation the eForChina, as I dubbed it, eForChina Game Boy Advance backlit, brighter backlit screen. Very fake looking box. In fact, I'm going to move this back slightly so I can show you this, and that's a bunch of Game Boy Color games that's down at my feet. So yeah, as it implies, it's got a greater backlit screen, it saves, game save support, all of which are lies. Well, the backlit screen is true, game save support lies, save lies. Picture of Crash Bandicoot, Mario, stock number for eForChina, and some fancy false English here. Due to the characteristics of the LCD, there are some dots that do not light up or never turn off. In other words, it's a cheap screen. But that said, I should just open it and let you see what's inside. This costs about £25, by the way. So if you want to get one of these from China, £25. I don't know why you would want to though. Comes with a European plug adapter with a mini USB charging on the end. Also, incidentally, if you tell them where you live, they throw in a plug adapter for the area that you're in, so you can convert that to work on your plug sockets, which is a nice little extra. They didn't have to throw that in because it would work with any mini USB charger. But let's have a look at the Game Boy Advance itself. Yeah, and immediately, much cheaper and nastier. This was supposed to be red. Actually, it looks more pinky in real life. It looks more like a sort of magenta. Just in terms of the plastic quality, just bring it next to this one. To the naked eye, you probably won't tell much difference. This doesn't look quite right here. On the back, yeah, they've all got this fake Game Boy Advance SP sticker, Japanese looking one, with serial numbers that I believe are pretty much all the same. I don't even know why they bother putting the serial number on. Uses the exact same battery that the Game Boy Advance SP uses. Link port, which I don't actually think works. Charging port, which has replaced the standard charger. Buttons, can you hear that? They are very clicky. Let's open it up. The hinge, there's practically no hinge. It does open to that position, but there's no satisfying sort of spring motion. You know what I mean? It doesn't actually snap into position. You could actually open this and hold it anywhere. It does have a default position it would like to stay at, however. So yeah, very clicky D-pad, very clicky buttons. So let's turn the blighter on. Sorry, I just completely forgot how bad this is. So yeah, the aspect ratio is completely out, and it comes with a whole bunch of games that are built in, which I don't actually know if it's legal. But anyway, we have here Sonic the Hedgehog game. Incidentally, picture of Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, that old arcade game where you had a roller ball and you have to make Sonic run through, and Shadow the Hedgehog for some reason. Absolutely nothing to do with this. Incidentally, this one also comes with like Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town, and Dora the Explorer, and Billy's Magic Cat, and things like that. There's all sorts of games in here. I'm actually wondering how many of these are original. Aladdin and the King of Thieves, Argos. Oh, you can go to that disappointing place and buy some stuff out of catalogue. Yeah, I'm curious how many of these are actually genuine. I'm pretty sure they're all NES games for the most part. But for the sake of comparison, I'm only going to look at Sonic the Hedgehog, which is just Sonic Advance. While I'm here, by the way, I'll get this one out. Put the Sonic the Hedgehog game back in this Sonic Advance. Oh, jump cut. Apologies for that. Someone came to the door. So yeah, I have now a side-by-side comparison. And obviously in the time that I've been at the door, the battery's now starting to go flat in my original Game Boy Advance SP. So yeah. Yeah, immediately you can just tell from the sound quality of the the eForChina Game Boy Advance. Obviously, that said though, the screen is actually pretty decent. Yeah, it is just as good as a backlit screen. But is that enough to compare alongside? There's obviously no way of me playing both of these at the same time, so I'm just going to go to Start. And just have a look at the timers there. You can see these both started at exactly the same time. And yeah, this bloody thing doesn't even run at full speed. 20 seconds, 25 seconds, so that's 15 seconds for this. This is why I use Sonic Advance, because it has a timer. So yeah, this was quite frankly a waste of £25, unless you want to give it to a very bored child who probably wouldn't know the difference, in which case he'd probably have a Nintendo DS at this point, which would probably be more ideal to him. So yeah, load of nonsense. So yeah, I was a bit stuffed, and then decided to go back to this for a bit. Managed to get myself a Game Boy player, imported from Japan for about £20, which was amazing. And then I discovered, boom, this is the Revo k101. This is a, as it clearly says, it's a GBA hardware clone. So yeah, it's basically an exact clone of one of these, or rather, it's more a clone of one of these, because I see what very cleverly they've named this. They've named this the K101 after the AGS-101 screen. So yeah, this is backlit. So let's have a look at this thing. So you get this piece of styrofoam, which is absolutely riveting and the best part of the packaging. USB plug adapter for UK. TV out lead, which it wasn't actually. I'm actually surprised they included this, because it didn't actually say anything about this being included. But yeah, you can connect this out to your TV out, so you don't even need the Game Boy player if if you can extend this somehow. This isn't particularly long. Let me untwist this and see. Length about 1.5 meters. Yeah, it's about 1.5 meters long. That I'd say. What else do you get in here? USB charging cable for the plug adapter. These are all nice freebies, by the way. These are all considered extras on the website. Screen protectors, you get 2 of them. Lanyard. Everything comes with a lanyard these days. Brightly lurid orange micro USB card reader. Haven't tried this yet, but I don't imagine it wouldn't work. And then we get onto the thing itself. Comes in this very nice sort of little pouch. So it even comes with pretty much a carry case for it. As it comes, wrapped in plastic, and ooh, I like this. That is very nice. I've had a very quick look at this. I haven't looked at it properly yet. This will cost you the grand total of about, I think it was $70. So that works at about £40 to £45, and it is shipped as well. That includes shipping. By Swiss Post. So yeah, it comes. So there you go. Here we go. This is the unit. D-pad feels a little bit spongy in comparison, but it's still usable by any regard. It's not as definite as this thing though. This feels very, very spongy. But if a D-pad's the only issue, buttons fairly definite. Start button, select button, and just bring it alongside this. The screen is even roughly the same size. There's a slight aspect ratio difference, but it's smaller than this, and it does everything you want it to do. You may be wondering though, 4 buttons. Yes, because this will play your Super Nintendo games as well. Incredible. Also what comes with it, and actually I didn't really care too much about, was this thing. The K card only works with this, but also with this came with an 8GB, just to show you. 8GB micro SD card. Originally, adverts said it only came with a 4GB card, so they've actually upgraded that for me, which was very nice of them. So I'm just going to power this on with the K card installed. Revo K101. Revolution just started. And this is what slightly worried me to a certain degree, is that this came with a bunch of Game Boy Advance games pre-installed. And then they took a closer look. These are all freeware games. So just to prove that it works to you, they've included a bunch of freeware games that they might have stolen, they might have got permission for, I doubt it, that they've included. So I'm just going to have a very quick look at this one. Don't know who made these, but whoever made them, brilliant to you. Starts up just like a Game Boy Advance. Yep, and as you can see, it's just Snake. But what I'm actually more impressed with than anything else is the screen. It is just as bright as the AGS-101. Also, as is it's not just an emulation machine, this is a hardware clone. It does actually play games at full speed. In fact, actually, I'm just going to turn this screen on again. Take the K card out, because amazingly, as I said, it is a hardware clone. It will take all your Game Boy Advance games. It doesn't take your Game Boy Color games, unfortunately. I have one here. Popeye 2. I'm just going to try putting this in here. Oh no, it doesn't fit. It will click in. In fact, actually, I'm going to power this on because I haven't tried it on the K101 Plus. Nope, doesn't work. Still tries to read it as a Game Boy Advance. Which would imply to me that it's using the Game Boy Micro chipset. Or maybe the Game Boy Micro BIOS, rather. I do have a Game Boy Micro. Never used it though. In you pop. So it's got genuine Game Boy Advance game in there now. And it powers on. Unfortunately, I don't have a direct comparison to show at the exact same time on the AGS-101. I do have Sonic Advance 3 though handy, however. Probably a close comparison I can show. In fact, I dare say that the screen on the Revo K101 is even brighter than this. And yet, that's just some gameplay there. Yeah, I would say the K101 actually wins that. The aspect ratio is slightly iffy, but all in all, that does the job. That's brilliant for 40 quid, and that's actually cheaper than this would be on eBay. So, what else can it do? Well, it'll play all your Game Boy Color games. I don't have any preloaded, unfortunately. I'm not going to bother trying them on camera, but I understand it emulates via the Super Nintendo's Super Game Boy, which is actually quite clever. But the other question that I've seen is there are some consoles that don't work with the NES Classics cartridges. I have here Super Mario Brothers. So here's the test. Will this run your NES games in the NES Classics collection? That's not a good start, is it? That happens to me every video, I swear to God it does. It looks like it's working now. Yay, we got it. It took me a few tries. It actually took me a lot of tries, but it did work before, I promise you. It worked first time when I tried it off camera. Yeah, but the only game I'm drawing that's not part of this, Super Mario Brothers. It does feel a little bit unusual. I'm playing this on basically a Super Nintendo controller in terms of button layout, but yeah, it's Super Mario Brothers. It runs just fine. I've heard that some systems, did the Game Boy Micro not work with this? I'm sure I've seen something that doesn't work with the NES Classics carts. Basically because they use I suck at this today. Basically because they use NES. Well, let's cock that up then, isn't it? Oh, well, that's that. Yeah, I suck at this game. I'm much better on a proper controller, honest. So yeah, that is the Revo K101. I thoroughly recommend it to you. It is a fantastic little system for what it does. It is basically a Game Boy Advance SP 101 in the body of an original Game Boy Advance SP. Original Game Boy Advance, rather. Dodged a bullet there. Commenters, oh my god. But yeah, I don't know what more to say about it, really. It makes no lies about what it is. It is as it says, it's a Game Boy Advance hardware clone. So all the components are basically brand new components. They're not like from bits of this system, bits of that system, and all the rest of it. They're all new components, basically built to the same specifications. Maybe the parts are a bit cheaper, I don't know. But I can't say much more about this other than thoroughly recommend one. Unfortunately, only comes in white. If you don't like white, which I particularly don't, because it tends to get all marked and stained just from use, because human fingers tend to attract dust and oil and sweat and things, and when you touch something white, it does tend to stain. That's not just me, I hope.